talking about is this is the storyline that we tell. This is the conditioned paradigm. Right? The unenlightened mind, the unawakened mind, sees the world as a storyline that leads from past event, which leads to the present. Right? So that what we'll say is that the reason that this is happening now is because of something in the past. And this could be really simple. The reason that I'm here in this room right now is because I drove here or rode my bike here earlier this evening. Right? So I rode my bike here, so now I'm at the yoga studio. That's the unenlightened view. And it's so simple and so basic that it's really challenging to start to question it from the conditioned mind, because we think, well, of course the reason I have a bellyache is because I ate the fly, you know? But I don't know why. So the reason, so the yoga, the description is actually really interesting. That, and this is self-evident too, that actually the present is not defined by the past. The present is actually not the expression of the past. Or it is, but it doesn't have to be.
Isn't that kind of the definition of karma?
That's karma. So we're saying that if you are awake, you're free and unbound by karma. If you are awake, you are unbound by karma. Now, but you have to know who you are. Because the body is not unbound by karma. Why not? Can the body ever be free from karma?
No.
Mm-mm. Why not?
Because the body can't, the body's not permanent.
Yeah, and the body is karma. Mm-hmm. That's what the body is karma. Right? And so you can't have a body without karma. The body is karma. Right? There's this, what was it? I can't remember what it was. Maybe I'm confusing a couple of things. But anyway, when there's no karma, there's no thing. And so a lot of times we think of karma as being this bad thing, and we talk about it as a bad thing because it binds forgiveness, compassion. These are not the highest, but this is a chittapasadana. And so this is the pleasant mind. We place our attention in this way so that our awareness is a little bit more free. Free to what? Eventually, see. See what?
Love.
Everything. The present.
See the present moment as it is. Yep, which is love. Yep, to see that everything is love, which is huge. Like, and it's a lot of times and that's like gets lost. You're like, wait, what were we talking about? Love? That gets lost because we're shot all the way up to the crown of the head. And so if people are down here, that's love. Okay, up here, this is boundless, unconditional love. And so if people are down here in the ego and the root chakra, they're like, wait, what are you talking about love for? No, that's not true. Gain, loss, war, evil, you know, all this good, bad, all this stuff down here. We're down here trapped in this paradigm, and now you're talking about boundless love, and we're just like, woo, woo. It's just, it doesn't make sense to get, so we have to get down here to meet people where they're at. You can't just go, someone's like, yeah, I just got beat up by the police, and, you know, and it's like, I can't get a job, and the landlord is evicting my family. And you're like, love, man. Come on, love. That's like a good way to get smacked. Right? And it's not that it's not true. It's just we're not meeting people where they're at. And so it's this huge leap to get up to unconditional love. And I'm not saying that that's what you were saying or that you'd use that in that situation. But I feel like as yoga teachers, that's like a sin. Right? So now we're starting to talk about awakeness and we're starting to talk about all of this stuff. And it's this tremendous mistake to go to someone who's suffering and be like, your suffering's not real. It's all in your mind. You know? Yeah, go for it.
Do you want me to think of something?
Unless they're used to that language.
Unless they are almost awake. If they're half awake, then maybe you can talk them through it. Right? If they're awake, somewhat, sometimes, maybe you can remind them of what they already know. Or, if we're people who are waking up, then maybe we can start to have this conversation. But we have to address all of this down here and move up a little bit at a time. So in this region of the heart, we have the gratitude, we have the forgiveness, unconditional love. And a lot of times we can just explain that in really practical terms. How do you feel when you hold a grudge? Bad. Right? In general, bad. I have tight muscles. When I hold a grudge, my shoulders creep up. Like I'm angry. How does it feel to be jealous? How does it feel to be resentful? How does it feel to hate other people? Right? Be it justified or not. Like, how do you feel when you hate other people? And so when we look at that, then it's like, okay, well, what's that doing to your nervous system? What's that doing to your endocrine system? If you tell them it causes hair loss and impotence, right? So it's like, oh, really? Love, I see. Or if you tell, women, it's like, whatever it is, it's like, you just like explain, like it causes old age, wrinkles, it causes like all of this stuff. It's true. It causes cancer, it causes disease. Of course, all of this stuff is true, that in many ways that this is what happens. And we can look at this stuff in a lot of detail and see how that is, but I don't think we need to. I think you guys, everyone understands these connections, right? That when you focus on resentment, what that's doing to the body, it's making the body sick. We experience not even just sick down the line, we can look at the effects of it, but immediately what do I experience when I'm resentful? Dis-ease. Right? If I hold that resentment for a long time, this disease becomes chronic disease. Chronic disease. And so this body-mind connection is the thing that has been lost so much in the West. Meaning that we forgot that what we think immediately affects the body. Immediately. And that the state, the tissue state, is a reflection of our thoughts. And that the what we call the health, or the different, like the flora, the fauna, who lives in the body, all of that is a reflection of our mind state. And not only that, but the people that we attract in our life, like our roommates and our partners and our friends and everyone who comes into our life, is also a reflection of our mind state. And so if I have a limited belief, let's say I have this belief that I'm not good enough, or there's not enough to go around, some idea like that. That belief is going to take form in my body as some kind of imbalance in the body. That belief is going to determine my internal flora, fauna, these like probiotic versus pathogenic creatures that live within us. It's going to determine that. It's going to determine my diet, what I eat. It's going to determine my friends, my family, these relationships. It's going to determine where I live, where I work, where I shop. All of these things determined by this little thought that a lot of times if we were really to look at that thought, we would be like, that doesn't even make sense. Right? That there's not enough. How could that be true, that there's not enough? There's so much. Has there ever been not enough? Maybe there were times that were less than I would have liked, but has there ever been not enough? So you're here. There may have been some hard lessons along the way. There may have been some really challenging times, but you're here. And so they say that Rolling Stones song, you can't always get what you want, but you might find that you get what you need. That's self-evident. You have had what you needed to get you here. And the proof is that you're here. Right? That's not saying that it's been easy. And so it's not to write off any of that. But if we could start to just, look at that, then we're like, wait a minute. It's almost, this is a story, but it's almost like someone's looking out for me. Go through this life and just be like, everything's okay.
It's the difference between non-attachment and detachment.
Non-attachment and detachment. Yeah, it is. That's a really good description of it. And so it actually takes more courage. It's almost like a place where you can hide out in detachment. For some people. Right? It's good to be able to get there, but it's almost a place where we can just hide out and be like, well, everyone's going to die anyway. So what does it matter? Right? What does it matter if my actions, how I act in the world, because everyone's going to die anyway, and none of this is real, and it's just Brahman, being a dumbass to Brahman,
We can do that emotionally too.
How
like
so?
hang out in this place of detachment, and I've done this before, being like all is Brahman and not actually processing my work because I don't have to go there because
Everything's Brahman.
right.
And it's true on some level, but it takes a lot of courage. It is true. But it takes a lot of courage to actually then go in and see what is it that I'm hiding out in Brahman from.
Yep.
If I'm really so sure that everything is Brahman, then why am I hiding
in the
from
first
this,
place.
this experience, this suffering, or this whatever it is? And then it's just this karma. That for most of us, we're not aware that we're here. And so right now is the expression of the habits that we've created through the past. Right? That the way I act right now is just the expression of my past habits. I'm not actually choosing this. Does that make sense? I'm not actually choosing where I put my mind. My mind is just only going to be the expression of my trauma from the past, or my resentment, or all of these things. Even though if I were to really stop and ask, okay, resentment or exaltation, which one do you want?
Doesn't matter.
Same, yeah. You're enlightened already. So, but it doesn't matter, but it actually does. Right? We say it doesn't matter, and that's the point of entry. And that can get you all the way to, they're the same thing. It's all the same. But it actually really does when we come back down. It really matters more than anything in the world what you do with your attention. How you treat other people. That's all there is. And then being awake, a lot of times, and I don't know this personally, a lot of times, a lot of us, we may have been awake, like, for a moment, like, whoa, I can see that that's my thoughts. That's not real. Like, I actually realized that I'm here. And I was playing out this unconscious role again. It's like, wow. And then the next day, it's like, you're back at it. And we got a glimpse, and then we're back at it, being unconscious again, and so we do it. And so really what we're talking about is in this moment, are you aware that you're here? Okay? And so this is we say it doesn't matter, but what else is there other than this moment? Right? Well, if this moment doesn't matter, then what does? There's nothing but now. And so I look at it like this, I think from Jesus' perspective or Buddha's perspective, it's almost like they're just like, all of a sudden, it's like the Matrix or something. It's like, from Jesus' perspective and Buddha's perspective, everyone's like trapped in this nightmare. And everyone's like sitting in heaven, but it's like going in their own little private hell, and they're like sitting in heaven, surrounded by amazing fruit trees and a beautiful golden sky and a babbling brook and just like anything that just like a beautiful breeze, and everyone's going like this, just like living in this little nightmare of what we created. And the reason is because I don't stop and look around. And so Jesus and Buddha, you can't just really like go like, because people are like, no, don't take my suffering, no. So what do? They go around and they feed the hungry. Right? They just take care of the poor. Say things like, those who have eyes to see will see. Okay? And then we're like, talk about this stuff in a coded way, but you can't just go and just bust it all out. Like I said, you're going to get killed if you try to bust it out. Jesus probably tried to explain too much. Right? Apparently he pissed some people off. Right? But even more than maybe even what he said was that he didn't care. He saw all these suffering, Pharisees or whatever, who were, pretending that they were connected to God and using their position to, use it for power and basically keep other people in control with this whole story about God. But they didn't really know God. And so he didn't play into the thing. He didn't honor the power structure. Maybe he did, I don't know. But it's kind of, he scared them. They saw him as a threat. It is threatening. It is really threatening because everyone doesn't want to wake up. And they shouldn't have to. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they do or not. It does. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. We want people to arrive at this place. But that's buddhi. Right? We're all going to get there in our own sweet time. We have to go through these experiences and,
Matt, can I loop you back to karma for a second? How did karma initially be birthed? Like if we're talking about the first people on the planet.
That's a good question. That's kind of what we've been talking about. So one, karma doesn't exist.
Right.
It doesn't really, because we're talking about the universe. So instead of saying that the universe arose out of the past and that right now is the expression of the past, we know that right now actually spontaneously arises out of right now. And if you watch, you can see this. Right now is the spontaneous expression of right now. Is not the expression of the past. We may have thoughts about the past and we say, no, it can't be the expression of the past. And we think because what about my people? Right? And what has happened over the generations and over all of these years. And I am angry at these people over here because of what was done, hundreds or thousands of years ago and what's happened. And right now, it's still the expression of that. That's true. Right? So we can look at that. We can look at something like slavery, and it's easy to see that the way that some of the inequality that's happening with race and police and economically and the prison system and all of this stuff is the expression of slavery. We're talking about in the world of form. Right? Now, do I have to be limited by that? No. Do I have to be limited by anything at all? No. Now we're talking about awareness. We're talking about the present moment. If you just woke up here and you didn't know that you were oppressed, if you just woke up, and it doesn't mean that there's not things that wouldn't enforce that, because let's say that you're African American and you don't know you're oppressed and the police come and beat you up. But that police beating you up isn't the expression of the past. It's a spontaneous expression of the present. Does this make sense? It's a weird territory is what we're going into. But we're saying that instead of things happening out of the past, and so instead of the story that this always happens to me,
Right.
right? Right now suddenly is the spontaneous expression of what it is. Okay? So it's this interesting space, because a lot of wars, I think about Israel and Palestine, I think about things like this. A lot of wars that have been going on for a long time are wars about, we identify with culture. What is culture? What is culture? A culture is the conditioned mind by its very nature. A culture is conditioned mind. Does it mean that it's bad? No. It's like a personality. It's like a collective personality. It's like what's a personality? It's our history. It's our history that we created this personality over time. Okay, I went to European vacation, right? I like pizza. I don't like quiche, or whatever, all of these things. That's what makes me me. Sorry, I'm unique like that. Is my idiosyncrasies. That's what makes me me, and it's good because I'm not you. Okay? I'm Polish. I'm not Russian. Even though, what's the difference? Before we had these concepts, right? I live over here. You live over there. Right? What is that? And so there's a lot of these things are even superimposed upon us. Right? These are identities that have been superimposed on us, and we think about that. It's a real big limitation to think, I'm this culture, I can't do that. Right? I'm this race, I can't do that. It's obviously not true. If you've ever known people, and I gave this example, I know a family where two of the brothers and sisters, they speak with a huge southern accent, like really strong southern drawl, and they eat chitlins and fried chicken. And the other brother, who grew up in the same household with the same mother and father, and they all went to college, he speaks completely without any type of southern accent or at all. And obviously he could speak that way if he wanted. This is a personality that we've taken on. Right? So I've noticed that too, that there's times when I'll be talking to someone and we'll be having a conversation, and then my friend will call. I'll be like, yo, what's up, man? Or just, I'll be like, word, I haven't, and it's like, I can't even do it now because I'm with you guys, but if my guy called, then I would slip into the talk that we used to talk like when we were in high school, because that's when we were friends. And so we still talk that way to each other. It's a language that we learned. It's a cultural thing.